The current dating crisis for men has been built on lies and has been fueled by naive influencers who don't understand the harm that they're causing to men out there. Men are committing suicide in higher numbers than ever before. They're depressed. They're afraid to go up and talk to women, and they feel like they're worthless in the current dating scene because of the lies that are being pushed out there in the media. And I'll explain how they do that. And then perpetuated, fueled by naive influencers who don't know what the heck is going on and don't understand the harm that they're causing to men. So, for example, to begin with, you'll often hear things like, oh, women only want the top 10% or 20% of men, and other men just really don't stand a chance. And where did they get that information from? Oh, they got it from a dating app study. Oh, everyone's using dating apps these days, right? That's how everyone meets each other these days, right? That's what you hear in the media. Who told you that? Oh, a dating app company, right. And where did they get that information from? Oh, they surveyed their users and asked them where they meet their dates. Oh, they meet their dates on dating apps. Right, okay, well, let's do a press release now that the media won't check. They'll just publish and say that the main way that people meet each other these days is on dating apps. But then you look into the numbers and you realize that most people don't use dating apps. And when you look into the numbers further, you realize that the majority of dating app users are men. And when you look into it further, you find out that the small percentage of women who are actually using dating apps often set their height filter on the dating apps to 6 foot and above, when most men aren't 6 foot and above. So all these men are swiping and trying to get matches on dating apps with women who will never even see them because their filters just block them out. And they then hear on podcasts, right, with these people who seem like they have some authority because, oh, he was a professor at university, or he worked at a big name company, or oh, he has 3 million followers on his YouTube channel and he's saying something, so it must be true. Right? And they're saying things like, oh, men are really struggling with dating these days because women only want the top 10 or 20% of men and everyone else can just go and get effed, right? They have no chance, right? And guys hear that from someone who's getting millions of views and they think that it's the reality. And I watched a podcast the other day with a woman who worked for Hinge, and what does she say? Everyone's meeting on dating apps these days. Isn't that convenient, seeing that she works for Hinge and wants to give people the impression that dating apps are now the number one way to meet people and everyone's doing it. And then you see this sort of thing in the news and it's confusing, right? It says here, it's estimated that there are 44 million people using dating websites and nearly 27 million using smartphone dating apps in the United States in 2022. And they say it's estimated to increase to 53 million by 2024. Oh, and on Match.com, there are 39 million users. Geez, what's happening there? Could that be true? That doesn't seem to match up with the numbers. Hang on a second, what does the FTC have to say about that? Oh, there are loads of scammers on there. Okay, that's starting to make a bit more sense. But what about the rest of the numbers? They said 39 million. What's going on there? Well, what happens is that companies issue a press release or they hire a writer to write about them. And they will often fudge numbers or they'll take numbers out of context. For example, when you look at the Pew Research, it says 3 in 10 US adults say they have ever used a dating site or app, right? So ever means that they've done it at some point in their life. But only 9% report doing so in the last year, but they won't talk about that. They'll say 30% of US adults are using dating apps and it's the number one way to meet women, according to their sponsor, Hinge.com or Match.com, whoever they're writing their article for, right? They have a client who has issued a press release or has paid to get an article on their site, and they are trying to make it sound as good as possible so everyone thinks that, oh, it's all about dating apps these days. You got to get on dating apps. So what you need to understand as a man is that what you often see in the media is not always true. For example, when they say that everyone's meeting on dating apps these days, it's just not true when you look into the numbers. But these naive influencers will get on those podcasts and destroy the confidence of men out there and cause so much depression, even to the point where men are committing suicide. They're hearing that women don't want them anymore. They're hearing that, oh, in some major cities around the world, women are earning more than men, and it works out to be about 10% more than men. And as a result of that, women don't want any of the men who don't earn as much as them, when that isn't even true. Yes, on dating apps, that will play out. But in the real world, when a guy has confidence and he walks over and makes a woman feel attracted, and he's not put off by the fact that she's making more than him. And if it comes up, he actually has the social and emotional intelligence to be able to handle it in a way that is attractive to her, then he'll usually get a result. For example, if you find out that a woman earns more than you, what are you going to say to her? You're going to say, oh yeah, good for you. Oh, congratulations. Is that going to make her feel attracted? No. Or are you going to say, oh yeah, well, I'm not insecure about that, or that doesn't intimidate me? No, that's not going to work. It's fine to congratulate a woman on that if you honestly don't feel intimidated by it, but if you want to make her feel attracted in a moment like that, and you find out that she's making more than you can playfully mess with her, you can playfully challenge her, you can use some humor to let her see that you're not intimidated, you're confident enough to say what I'm about to say now, and she then feels attracted to the fact that you're confident, you can use humor, you're socially intelligent, you're emotionally intelligent, and the fact that she's earning more than you doesn't have to be a problem. For example, if you find out that she's making more than you can say something like, awesome, you're earning more than me. So that means I can stay home and play video games while you earn all the money. Fantastic. Or, oh, cool, I've always wanted a sugar mummy, so when are you taking me shopping? And that's going to make her feel attracted. She's going to see that you have the social and emotional intelligence to be able to handle a moment like that and not get intimidated, feel insecure, and think that it's a big problem. And if you don't use humor in a moment like that, you can at least show the woman that you're not intimidated by it if you're honestly not intimidated by it. If it's honestly not a problem for you that she's earning more, and you're not going to feel like you're inferior because you're not. Yeah, she's got a job where she's earning more. Congratulations. That doesn't make you less of a man. You're still the man. She still wants you to feel like you're the man. If you can still feel like the man, she will still look at you as the man. But if you think that you're less of a man because she's making a bit more, then you're less of a man in her eyes. It's up to you. You get to decide that you are the man. Yet these naive influencers on podcasts don't understand the damage that they're causing to so many men out there, and not just young men. Also men who are 30, 40, 50, who aren't very financially successful, because when you look into the numbers of that, you realize that 1.1% of the adult population are actually millionaires, and the majority of those people are 57 years and older. Not only that, but they're already settled down, they usually have a family, and sometimes they're a grandfather already, and that's not even taking into account female millionaires, which have been growing at a faster rate than men. But that's still a very small percentage of the population, and it doesn't mean that for the majority of the female population, no guy has a chance. Because the reality is, and this is something that these naive influencers don't talk about, because they just look at a study and say, oh, women are earning more than men now, and there are less eligible men, so no men have a chance. The reality is that guys get a girlfriend when they're working a casual job, a part-time job, a low-paying full-time job, and the majority of women are not wealthy. Yes, in some major cities around the world, women are earning a bit more than men, but still, the absolute majority of the population are not going to be wealthy. It's not a case that all these women now are just so wealthy and successful, and men are worthless. You're nothing to women right now. Because, hey, they said on a podcast that in some major cities around the world, women are earning more than men, and women only want the top 20% of men. And then what happens is that naive, upset young men get on social media and they post about the fact that women only want the chads, or they only want the rich guys, or they only want guys who are very successful, and any guy who's less than 6 foot, isn't wealthy, doesn't have six-pack abs, can go and get stuffed. That's essentially what they're saying. They're saying all modern women are delusional. They all want this 6-foot chad who's rich. And what they don't understand is that women are not operating as one hive mind where they all think the same thing. Every woman makes her own decisions, and they don't all think the same way. And this is why guys who are shorter than a woman can get with a woman who's attractive. This is why you'll see a guy who's overweight and he'll have a pretty or a cute girlfriend. This is why you'll see guys who don't have six-pack abs, don't have big biceps, with women who are attractive. This is something that's happening all over the world, in every country, in every major city around the world, despite the fact that a lot of men are unnecessarily suffering in this modern dating crisis for men. A lot of men out there have been fed lies by the media, telling them that everyone's meeting on dating apps these days, so he gets on there and he tries and tries and tries and doesn't get results. He doesn't understand the numbers, what's actually going on, and then he thinks that women don't want him. Or he watches TikTok and women get interviewed. How much does a man need to be making to date you? What's she going to say? Oh, nothing? Oh, whatever. She's not going to say that. She's going to make herself look respectable. She's going to say, oh, 6 figures. 300,000, a million. He's got to be making that sort of money, even though those men are extremely rare. And even though in almost all cases, her ex-boyfriend will not have been making that type of money. And maybe the guy she has a crush on is not making that type of money. How tall does a guy need to be to date you? What's she going to say? Shorter than me. Yeah. Just give me a short guy. It's going to be very rare that you'll hear that. Instead, what's she going to say? 6 foot. Yeah, that's going to sound good, isn't it? If you ask women those sort of questions, they'll give you those sort of answers. And look, I don't want to say that what I provide men is the only solution. I'm not saying that you have to learn what I teach, but I just want to point out the fact that there are guys in my community who are 5'3", who are 5'8", etc., who are not only having sex with beautiful women, but are getting into relationships with beautiful women. And I'll point out here that when you see these sort of results that guys are getting as a result of using what I teach, which is about naturally attracting women, I'm not sitting here saying that every guy who learns what I teach gets those results, because he doesn't, right? Many guys learn what I teach and don't use it. Additionally, some guys learn what I teach and they only do it a little bit. But the guys who learn what I teach and then apply it get results like this. This is what happens, and it's not rocket science. It's not a trick to use on women. It's not a complicated strategy. Instead, it's something very simple and natural. That being, women are attracted to certain non-physical traits in men. And when you display those sort of traits, it literally causes a woman to look at your physical appearance in a positive light. And this is not me just saying this, right? This is backed up by studies, right? Studies have shown that when men display certain personality traits and behaviors, women literally look at their physical appearance in a more positive light. Additionally, there are studies that have shown that prior to a speed dating event, women were asked what they're looking for in a guy, and they would talk about things such as physical appearance. They'll say physical appearance is important, but then they actually looked at who the women chose, and what they said they wanted didn't actually match up to what they eventually decided to do. And that is women for you. Women will often say that a man needs to be this and that in order to get with her, but then when a guy interacts with her and makes her feel attracted, she will change her mind in the moment, and she'll say, I really like this guy. And she will say yes to him, or she'll give her phone number to him, or she'll start kissing him, or she'll have sex with him. She'll get into a relationship with him. But that's not what you'll hear on these podcasts. They'll just talk from a very macro perspective in terms of the data and say that, women are earning more these days, and, women are hypergamous, right? Which is true, right? Women want to be able to trade up when it comes to who they date and who they get into a relationship with. But trading up can also be a feeling rather than the guy having to already be successful. It was proven by the largest ever study conducted on human mating preferences that most women choose men based on potential, right? The guy gives her the feeling that he has some potential. He has a plan. He seems like he's going to be going somewhere. He doesn't already need to be successful. And if that wasn't true, no guy who is working a casual job would ever be able to get a girlfriend. No guy who is working a part-time job or a low-paying full-time job would ever be able to get a girlfriend, but you've seen it in your life, and you may have even experienced it yourself. When you had a casual job or a part-time job or a low-paying full-time job, you were able to get a girlfriend. And it's still the same in today's world, apart from on dating apps with a certain percentage of women, right? It's a small percentage of women who use dating apps, and within that small percentage of women who use dating apps is another percentage of women who have really high expectations when it comes to men. And what often happens is that because very handsome or successful men clean up on dating apps and they can essentially get a date any day of the week, a small percentage of women who are using dating apps who actually go on dates, which isn't the majority of women, by the way. A lot of people who use dating apps don't actually go on any dates, and many women actually use that as a confidence booster. But women who end up going on a date with a really good-looking guy or a very successful guy will often become delusional. Yes, it's true. To the point where they think that those sort of guys want them, when in fact the guy just wanted to have sex with her once and that was it. He's not interested in having a relationship with her. He's not going to tell her that in almost all cases. He might love bomb her, for example, pretend that he's falling for her, right? Pretend that he's falling in love with her and really make her feel special, have sex with her, and then not want to see her anymore. Or maybe see her a few times and that's it. But in her mind, she could become delusional and think that she can get a guy like that, when in reality, guys like that don't want to commit to her. Yet the problem is that what happens with naive influencers out there is that they are saying that about all women, right? They've heard by the media, which is false. It's a lie. And the lie has been spread by dating app companies who've surveyed their freaking users and asked them where they're meeting their dates. Where are they going to be meeting their dates? Right? They're going to be meeting their dates on dating apps. And they put that out into the media. They do what's called a press release. Those who are familiar with how the media works will understand. You put out a press release and the media just publish it if it's a good story. And they love stories that are going to get a lot of clicks, where they say that, women only go for the top 20% of men, or the majority of people are meeting on dating apps these days. It seems like it's going to be something that will get them clicks, that will get them read, that will get them shared. So they post it. And they don't understand the damage that they're causing. Hundreds of millions of guys all over the world are unknowingly swiping and spending so much time on dating apps, trying to match up with women who will never even see them because they're being filtered out, and trying to match up with women when they're competing with tens of thousands of other men in that particular area for the same woman, when in some cases she's just using it as a confidence boost. Or in some cases, she will only date the top 10% of guys that she comes across. Yet what'll happen then is that the guy has heard that everyone's meeting on dating apps these days and he's not getting a result. So what does that mean for him? He's not good enough. He's worthless. Women don't want him. Women these days are too difficult. He has no chance. And he doesn't realize that other guys are just getting on with attracting women in person. And they're either having a lot of fun when they're single, just hooking up with women, or they're getting a girlfriend, or they're getting married. Even though they're not a tall man or a traditionally handsome man, they're still able to get themselves a girlfriend or a wife. And this is a problem that has become a lot worse these days for men because they are watching so much social media, and there are so many random videos and channels that will give them information that will mess with their head, make them feel insecure, and not give them the confidence that they're looking for. It'll just make things worse. And this is something that has been going on for many decades, right? When I was single and I had no idea how to make women feel attracted to me, what I was seeing in the media is that women wanted what? A man who is tall, dark, and handsome. They used to love to say that. And they talk about six-pack abs, and magazines were still popular at that point. So on the front of the magazine, you'll often see headlines like, "Get the body, get the girl." And on TV, they talk about how handsome a guy is and how his muscles look great and so on. And as a result, back then, being a guy who had no idea how to make women feel attracted to me, I believed that. Because when I interacted with attractive women, pretty women, they didn't want me. The only women who seemed interested in me were unattractive women. And I was thinking, well, what's the problem? Right? I thought, I'm a good guy. I feel like I'm a pretty cool guy. I'm intelligent. I'm nice. What's the problem? Am I that ugly? Am I that horrible looking that attractive women look at me and it's just an instant no? And that's it? And I can never get a pretty woman. I can never get a beautiful woman. They're never going to be interested in me unless maybe I become really successful in life and then the woman uses me. Is that what my life's going to be like? Is that how it's going to play out? Yet the thing is, at the same time, I also noticed the reality around me. Right? I noticed that there were guys who were skinny who would have a pretty girlfriend. Guys who were short. Guys who were overweight. And when I looked at myself, I'm an average-looking guy at best. Some people may say below average looking, but I would look at a guy and see that he isn't a good-looking guy, but he has a pretty girlfriend or a beautiful girlfriend. What the heck is going on? How is that happening? There has to be something that I'm missing. And luckily for me, around that time, I made a new friend. And him and I decided to go out and start meeting women and try to figure it out. Try to figure out how we could get women to want us and get a girlfriend. And we got rejected because we had no idea how to make women feel attracted. They weren't interested. I was making mistakes such as seeming insecure and nervous when I started talking to the woman, and they would instantly feel turned off by that. But what I started to do is I started to pay attention to the guys who are naturally good with women. And I noticed that even when they weren't good looking, the girls really liked them. And it dawned on me that women can feel attracted to a man for reasons other than his physical appearance. There are non-physical traits that women find attractive in men. And a very easy to understand example is confidence versus insecurity. So insecurity is the opposite of confidence. And if you display insecurity when you're interacting with a woman, she doesn't feel attracted to you. It's not a trait that attracts women. But if you display the opposite of that trait, it's a non-physical trait, and that's confidence, she feels sparks of attraction for you because of it. It's an automatic reaction. And eventually, when I was able to put it into words and describe this, it was that attraction is a reaction to attractive traits. So when you display attractive traits, women literally feel attracted to you. And when I started to display attractive traits, that's when everything changed. The sort of women who would never want anything to do with me in the past and would just look at me like I am nothing, suddenly lit up and smiled and felt attracted to me and started kissing me, having sex with me, getting into relationships with me. And at times, because they understood that I was dating other women, I had options, they would compete to become my number one girlfriend. So I literally went from having no attractive women interested in me to having options and having attractive women competing to be my number one girlfriend. And something important that I realized as a result of going through that, and I've settled down now, but what I realized back then, which the media wasn't telling me, they were telling me the opposite of this, right? They were saying that you had to be tall, dark, and handsome, and they would just glorify handsome men in the media. They would always say handsome, abs, muscles, rich, blah, blah, blah. Oh, look at him, movie star looks, and so on. The media was saying all that sort of stuff. But what I saw in real life when I paid attention and saw that skinny guys, overweight guys, average, below average looking guys were getting with pretty women, and then what I experienced, I realized that women make their own decisions. And they're not only not all following along with what the media says, but that there's a big difference between what women will say and then what they'll actually do, right? If you ask a woman, what does a guy need to be earning? What does he need to look like? What does he need to have? They'll say all sorts of things. But then someone like myself will walk over and make them feel attracted and, oh, now she's kissing me, now she's in a relationship with me. And it's not just me, of course, and it's not back then, right? I was talking to the members of my community the other day, and there's a member in my community who's 5'3" in terms of height, and he has been doing amazingly well with women, and something he said was mastery level. It's something that I've been experiencing for a long time, but he's already there because of what he's been learning. And he said at 5'3" in terms of height, women aren't even putting up any resistance to him anymore. They just open up. And it's true. That's what happens. When you're displaying multiple non-physical attractive traits that women are looking for and they struggle to find, they have what I call a wow reaction to you, where you start interacting with them and they literally have a look on their face like, that sort of look like, what the... Who's this guy? Where did he come from? Where has he been all my life? Sort of thing. And they sort of look at you and they can't believe what they're feeling when they're interacting with you. They wake up, and members have commented on this as well, where they're starting to see women that they interact with wake up, as I refer to it, where it's just like, oh, wow, right? And they get that reaction. And the thing is, I'm not just saying only watch Dan Bacon videos. Yeah, just watch my channel. Instead, I recommend that you watch channels from men who are successful with women and who are not hating on women, who are not looking for an excuse and getting on camera and whining and complaining about how dating is so screwed these days and women are this, women are that, and it's all too difficult. Don't watch those channels, because if you do, the way that the YouTube algorithm works is that if you click on a video and you watch it all, or you like it, comment on it, or share it, YouTube will show you more of those videos. And if you watch more of those videos, before you know it, your YouTube feed will be full of those sort of videos. And for many guys, they eventually end up believing that all men think like that now, that dating is screwed, women are crazy, only the top 5% of chads get girls now, it's impossible. Look at this woman here, she isn't even attractive, and she's saying a guy needs to be 6 foot and be a millionaire. Like, if she's saying that, how am I going to get a girl? I mean, I've tried being on dating apps, I'm not getting matches. He doesn't realize the numbers. He doesn't realize that he's being filtered out and that there are hardly any women on the apps compared to men. And he also doesn't realize that the absolute majority of women don't use apps. And if you think about it, if women have so much choice on dating apps, why aren't the majority of users on dating apps women? Right? Hang on a second. If men have to pay more on dating apps, men are lining up to be with them, why aren't women flocking to the dating apps and becoming the majority users? What's going on? This is something that I haven't seen anyone else discuss, and it's linked to how a woman's attraction actually works. What a woman's attraction instinct is telling her with dating apps, which isn't always true, right? There are a lot of cool, intelligent, good guys using dating apps, right? But what a woman's instinct is telling her is that, hang on, if a guy has to be on a dating app, what sort of guy is he? Why aren't the women in his life feeling attracted to him and getting with him. And for some guys, they may say, well, look, I'm busy. I don't meet women. But he walks past a woman in a grocery store, and a woman knows that. He walks past a woman in a shopping mall, or he talks to a woman who's working as a cashier in a clothing store, and she's single and she's pretty. Why isn't he getting with her? What's going on there, right? And a woman's attraction instinct is essentially telling her that the guys on dating apps may be desperate and they may not be liked or wanted by women in real life, when that is not always true, right? As I said, there are a lot of cool guys who use dating apps, but a woman's instinct is telling her that, hang on, why is he on a dating app? And that's one of the fundamental psychological reasons why women don't flock to dating apps, even though they could have so much choice. It's obvious there are more men than women. She should get on there, right? She's got all the choice in the world, but who is she choosing from? Her attraction instincts are telling her that the guy may not be the sort of guy that she's looking for, because if he has to get on a dating app to meet women, then he may not have the sort of qualities that women find attractive. Now, that doesn't mean that women don't use dating apps. They definitely do. But when you look into the numbers, the majority of users are men. And the fundamental psychological reason is what I was talking about there. And it's not going to change, because a woman's attraction works differently to a man's attraction, right? A man can get on a dating app and just be like, yep, no, yep. And he can just be swiping on most women and thinking to himself, yeah, I'd have sex with her, why not? Yet a woman's attraction is less visual. It doesn't mean that women can't feel attracted to handsome men. It doesn't mean that handsome men don't do well on dating apps, because they do. But women are less visual to the point where they would rather interact with a guy in person and get a sense of who he is and check to see if he has the sort of non-physical traits that are important to women. For example, for most men, if they interact with a woman who is pretty or she looks attractive and she is shy or insecure, or if she's not assertive and instead she's passive, the guy's not going to lose attraction for her. And in most cases, if a woman is insecure or shy, the guy will feel like more of a man around her. But a woman's attraction doesn't work like that. She is looking for non-physical traits in you that make her feel respect and attraction for you. And when you display those traits, and if you can display enough non-physical traits that make a woman feel very attracted to you, then in almost all cases, not in all cases, but in almost all cases, her list of requirements go out the window and she falls in love with you. She likes who you are and how she feels when she's interacting with you. And as a result of that, she wants to be with you. Yet you're not going to hear that sort of thing on those podcasts with those random guests who just say things, not realizing how much harm they're causing to men out there who do not understand what is going on. Right? There is a woman on a podcast talking to a man, and he gets millions of views on his podcast, and they have professional lighting, they have great cameras, and they're sitting there having a serious conversation, and the woman says that, yeah, all women just go for the top 20% of men these days, and most people meet on dating apps these days. It's just the way that it works. And, guys really need to try harder to become more successful. They need to level up, or they'll say things like, oh, guys need to learn how to become more emotionally supportive. And they'll say random things like that, when all of that is based on studies from dating apps with dating app users, right? So it's very biased, and it's not the majority of the population. Or the whole thing about a guy learning to be more emotionally supportive and be more emotional around a woman. It's the same sort of nonsense that I was exposed to when I was growing up, that I saw in the media, where they were saying that guys needed to become sensitive new age guys, right? Snags, right? And when guys became snags, they got rejected, dumped, and divorced. And after that, another trend came along. Metrosexuals. Guys, pluck your eyebrows, get a tan, use moisturizer, get 10 pairs of shoes, wear all these different fashions, and essentially look like a guy who's not even into women to get women. And when guys followed that, women largely rejected them, right? If the guy's very good looking, great, he can get a pass. But when guys paid too much attention to their appearance, women sensed that the guy was a little bit too feminine. Right, what's going on here? Why is he spending more time in the mirror compared to her? Why is he fussing over his appearance so much? She then loses respect and attraction for him and dumps him. And he thinks that maybe he's still not putting enough effort into his physical appearance, because the media is saying that men need to moisturize now. You need to pluck your eyebrows. You need to wax. You need to do all these sort of things that came from TV shows from men who aren't even into women. You remember those TV shows if you ever saw them? There was a TV show called Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. and they had homosexual men telling straight men to get 10 pairs of shoes and wear all these different types of clothes and moisturize and so on, and feminizing men and making men feel insecure and not good enough. And when women that they met got that sense about them, the women didn't find them attractive. They rejected them because the man was being too feminine. He was being too insecure. But all along, the guys who have gotten results are guys who just don't fall for the crap that is in the media, and they continue to be a man. And one of the traits that I teach, for example, in my Attraction Mastery video lesson series, is untamed energy. And most guys don't have that these days. They have a very tamed energy around women and around people in general because of what they've heard in the media, what they've heard on a TikTok. A woman said this, or it's bad to be a man these days, or they've been watching TV shows with all these boss babes and all these women who are the main character and they're so strong and they're so independent and the men are following along with them, and it's getting into their psyche. It gets to the point where if a woman looks at them, they feel unsure of themselves, right? They feel like she's a more powerful force than them. They feel like, oh, well, she's looking at me now, and maybe it's wrong if I look back at her. Maybe that's creepy if I look at a woman. Yet the guys who have untamed energy haven't changed, right? They're not falling for that crap that they hear random people say on TikTok or in some TV show or on the news or whatever. They're not falling for that. They maintain their untamed energy, and some women refer to untamed energy as bad boy energy or real man energy, or he's a man's man. And they get that sense from the guy. They can look at a guy and tell within a couple of seconds whether he has tamed energy or untamed energy, whether he's been brainwashed by what he's seen in the media or if he's just grown up and he's never really gotten to the point where he is unashamed of his masculinity, unashamed to be a male, unashamed to be a man, right? He's never gotten to that point where he can just live it, breathe it, and it just emanates from him. And I'm not talking about acting. I'm not talking about walking around acting like you're the man, because that's an act. Instead, men who have untamed energy don't even have to try. Women can just sense it that, okay, that guy is authentically masculine. He is real. He's unashamed of being a male. And it's just written all over his body language, how he reacts to things, how he looks at her when she looks at him, how he talks to her, how he behaves, and so on. Women can sense it. And it's so magnetically attractive to women because it takes so much confidence and so much of a lack of shame of your masculinity to have that untamed energy. And when you have what I call untamed energy, you are magnetically attractive to women. You just stand out so much that women do literally look at you again and again, and they'll often stare. And for some guys, it might be difficult for them to understand how something like that could happen. But the next time you're in a shopping mall, pay attention to the guys who seem tamed by the reality around them, right? What they've been exposed to versus the guys who aren't tamed. And you'll notice that they seem much more ballsy, even though they're not doing anything wrong. They're not hurting anyone. They just have that masculine presence about them. They have that manliness about them. And guys can have that when they're in their teens, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, right? It's not something that only a 40-year-old man can have and so on. But for someone like myself, I do have that, and it causes women to check me out. And for some guys, that might seem difficult to understand. How could women be checking out someone like me, right? Ginger beard. I don't have the sort of looks that women find very attractive, and I'm 5'9" in terms of height. Why would young, attractive women, say 21 to 25, be looking at me, and not only looking at me, but at times smiling with their mouth or smiling with their eyes in terms of a flirtatious look? And this is something that my woman notices all the time. It's something that happens all the time because it's magnetically attractive. It's very difficult for women to come across a man who has untamed energy and isn't ashamed of his masculinity. And when you interact with a woman who's earning more than you, if you then become tamed by that and you feel like, well, I'm not much of a man then because she's earning more than me, then you've already lost, right? She'll see that written all over your body language. She'll sense it in your energy. She'll pick it up based on what you're saying, and she won't feel respect and attraction for you as a result. She'll realize that you're intimidated by it. But if you can just understand, for example, with the example of a woman making more than you, if you come across a woman like that, if she's earning extra numbers, that's got nothing to do with her being a man. She's a woman. You're the man. Right? And when a woman comes across a man who is the man no matter what, she respects him and she feels attracted to him. So do yourself a favor, and if you have been clicking on those negative, toxic videos from young, naive people, or even older men who are naive and still haven't figured it out, right? They may have gone through a divorce and be quite bitter about it, and they get online and they just say negative things about women, and they end up influencing younger men into thinking that all women are bad and that every woman is out to get them, and women are going to destroy their life, and it's just all bad, all negative. Like, if you've been watching those sort of videos, do yourself a favor and stop clicking on them. Start clicking on videos from channels with men who are successful with women and are actually making you more confident and helping you get to the result that you want to get to. And even some channels from women who are making you feel more confident. Now, you have to be careful with some of the channels from women though, because I won't name any names, but there are some channels where a woman will be making videos with dating advice for men, and then she'll start talking about how men need to wear cologne to attract women because that's her sponsor or something, or they need to invest a lot of money into fashion and then they'll be attractive to women because that's her sponsor. And she hasn't really thought about the consequences of how that is then going to affect a man's confidence, right? If he starts interacting with a woman that he finds attractive and he's not wearing the best clothes or he isn't wearing cologne, he may then think, well, that woman on YouTube or TikTok told me that I need to be wearing great fashion and I need to be wearing cologne in order to be attractive to women, but I'm wearing like a t-shirt and track pants or sweatpants and I've got my kicks on and they're not really the best. So yeah, I really shouldn't try to shoot my shot here. Meanwhile, guys who just focus on making the woman feel attracted to their non-physical traits just get on with shooting their shot and they get a result. And the reason why they get a result is that most women are way easier to attract and get with than they make themselves out to be. Right? If you ask women what they want, they'll usually say all these things. But then if a guy walks over and talks to her and makes her feel attracted and he's confident enough to shoot his shot, he will usually get a result. And the way that it works is that if a woman is interacting with a guy who is confident and maybe he's using some humor or flirting, and then she notices that his shoes aren't that good, in pretty much every case, she's not going to not get with him because of his shoes. If she is interacting with a guy who's making her feel attracted and she really likes him and she doesn't like his shoes, the way that a woman thinks is that when I start dating him, I'm going to get him to get better shoes. Great, right? Let's go shopping. Give me some recommendations on shoes. Oh yeah, these are pretty cool. All right, I like these. And the guy then wears them. No big deal. He's in a relationship. He's having sex with her, rather than a guy interacting with a woman that he finds attractive and thinking, well, I don't have my best shoes on today. Oh, these pants, or this shirt, my hair. I haven't been going to the gym lately. I've lost a lot of muscle. All right. I've seen those videos on TikTok and YouTube. You've got to be ripped. I mean, women want Chad. All right. Women only want the top 10% of men, so I shouldn't even shoot my shot. Meanwhile, in another location, a guy who doesn't pay attention to that sort of stuff and just has confidence, untamed energy, and is able to flirt with women or use some humor to make them feel attracted. You name it. All these non-physical traits that you can display. He has that and he just shoots his shot. And the woman goes along with it. She happily goes along with it because she's attracted to him and she wants to be with him. So while having a great sense of fashion can be attractive on a confident man, it doesn't look the same on an insecure man, right? An insecure man can have 500 shirts and 500 different pairs of pants. But if he is insecure when interacting with a woman that he finds attractive, then she is going to struggle to feel a spark with him. She's not going to get into a relationship with a pair of pants or a shirt. Instead, it's about how he makes her feel. So if she notices that he is insecure, doubting himself, and doesn't feel like he's worthy of a woman like her, then she's going to feel turned off by that, even if he's wearing a nice cologne. She may think, oh, his cologne smells good, but she's just not feeling that spark. And as the interaction or date ends with yet another rejection for him or being placed in the friend zone or then ghosted, it can lead some guys to think that maybe it's true about women only wanting the top 20% of men. Yet the misconstrued myth about women only wanting the top 20% of men is based on dating app data where the majority of the users are men. In other words, the small percentage of women who are using dating apps have a huge supply, have so many options to the point where they become very picky. But the reality is, when you actually look into the numbers, the majority of people are not using dating apps. And as I said, the majority of the small percentage of people who are using dating apps are actually men, not women. So I hope this video has helped you understand that the dating crisis they talk about out there is mostly built on lies, and it gets perpetuated and fueled by these naive influencers who don't really know what they're talking about and are just quoting random statistics and saying, well, that means, top 20% of men, they're the only ones who are really eligible. So all the other guys, they don't really have a chance, man. Just give up, man. Like, top 20%? Are you in the are you in the top 5%? You're not worthy, man. Right? Meanwhile, other guys just get on with it. They talk to a woman that they find attractive, they shoot their shot, and the next thing you know, he's kissing her, he's in a relationship with her, no problem. And if you're a confident guy watching this and you're able to make women feel attracted, then get on with it. Just start talking to women that you find attractive and move things forward. But if you're a guy who lacks confidence around women that you find attractive, and you want to have the confidence to talk to women that you find attractive and then the confidence to shoot your shot, then check out my Attraction Mastery video lesson series. The guys who are watching the lessons and using the techniques are getting results like this. If you watch the video, for example, the first one, and you start to use the confidence mindset, where you don't even have to talk to women to get a result. Simply by using this mindset, you will feel so much better about yourself, you'll feel so much more confident, and you'll realize that women are actually feeling more attracted to you. You'll see it. This is what guys see all the time, and I also give them the techniques to make women feel attracted to them when they're interacting with them, so they can build on the woman's attraction and then shoot their shot and get these sorts of results. So if you are interested in ending your era of being overlooked by women or being rejected by women, and you want to enter a new era of your life right now where women start feeling sexually and romantically attracted to you, then check out my Attraction Mastery video lesson series. Or if you want to continue learning from me right now on YouTube, here is a video that I recommend you watch.